right?
Hello, welcome everybody to Thursday, day 4. I can't believe it's day 4 already. Last day tomorrow already. First session of the morning, and I've been waiting for this one all week with the brilliant Sisters Against Plastic, Teresa and Mary. So they're going to talk to us all about how to go on a plastic diet, which they'll tell you about their plastic diet that they went on in 2018, I'm sure. And I'm sure lots of you will have loads of questions about, you know, plastic-free swaps and all those sorts of things. So the chat box is there. You guys, I love that you guys are already in there chatting and saying hello to each other. And this is you guys didn't see the green room beforehand because I can't remember how many kids you've each got, but all our kids were like, whoa.
There was a lot of children on screen.
Yes, and then if you've got a specific question you want to ask, there's the ask a question box there at the bottom. And what we'll do is we'll try and I'll keep an eye on that, and we'll probably try and come to all those at the end. So yeah, I'm going to hand over to these two lovely ladies now, and have fun and enjoy yourself.
Thank you.
Hi, thanks ever so much to Jen at Sustainable-ish for inviting us onto this. I'm Teresa.
And I'm Mary. Hi.
And we created Sisters Against Plastic back at the beginning of 2018. So one of the first questions that everybody asks is, yes, we are real sisters. As you could probably tell, I'm the older one, then there's Mary, and we've actually got another sister and 2 brothers as well. And everyone's really supportive of all of this and how we've gone along all of the plastic diet. It's been a lot of fun, hasn't it, Mary?
Yeah, I can't quite believe that we're still talking about it over 2 years later. I didn't realize I was signing up for that, but there we go.
Yeah, well, this leads into nicely. This was my brainchild. So it all started back in 2017 when I'd watched Blue Planet, and there was a bit of the plastic consciousness was kind of creeping into the media and creeping into kind of general consciousness. And like a lot of people, I was thinking, I need to reduce my plastic waste. I really ought to be being a bit more conscious about what I'm buying. But every time I went down to the shops, every time I was doing my weekly shop, that plastic priority just kept falling down that list. And I'm sure that everybody's had so many battles with that priority. When you're shopping, you've got so many other things. You've got to feed your family, you've got to keep to a budget, you've got to try healthy new things, there's so many other things that come into your priority list when you're shopping, that plastic was just falling further and further down the list. So it was in 2017 when I came up with this idea, and I thought, I've got to do something, I've got to do it big. So I thought, I'll do a New Year's resolution. And I thought, how am I going to go about doing this? So I enlisted my help of my sister, Mary, and we came up with the idea of going on this plastic diet. And it literally was just parodying a weight loss program. So we decided that every month we would save up every single scrap of plastic that we use. And that means every yogurt pot, every plastic bag, every little ring round the top of a jam jar, every single litre of plastic that we were using, we would save. And at the end of that month, we would weigh that plastic, and then we would repeat that action throughout the next month, and we'd try and reduce that weight down, like as a diet. And it was really interesting. When we started it, I think we were a little bit naive. We thought this is going to be quite easy. There's not going to be that much plastic. It was shocking. It was really, really shocking. So I'll let Mary tell you about what January was like when we really first embarked on all of this.
Yeah, so like Teresa said, we thought, well, let's do this as a diet. Let's take each month and see how much we can reduce. And we thought we need to start somewhere, and we need to start with a realistic view of what we're battling with. So in that first month, we just lived completely as normal. We didn't try and make any changes at all. And this was a really, really important part of it, I think, and something that we definitely recommend to anyone who is who wants to try and reduce their plastic. You need to see what the problem is. So collect as much as you can. Anything that you would ordinarily put in the bin or in the recycling, keep it in a box in your kitchen or wherever, so that you can actually see what it is that you are faced with. And that is what we did for that first month. We kept every single scrap of plastic, like Teresa says, you know, the little ring around an olive oil bottle, all the plastic bags, all the plastic bottles. And, you know, like Teresa says, I thought, you know what, this will be fine. I'm actually quite good at recycling. I don't really waste things. I don't buy unnecessary items. I'm probably not going to have that much. So when we got to the end of the month and we took a look at what exactly we had accumulated, it was completely shocking. I was totally overwhelmed. There's a photo that Teresa will put up at some point during the show where she is sat on her kitchen floor, literally surrounded in plastic. It is completely covering the floor. And it's nothing out of the ordinary. It was, you know, wrappers from cereal, bread wrappers, bottles from milk or drinks. Nothing out of the ordinary. Everything that any normal household is probably going to have. So we kind of took a deep breath and thought, right, okay, this is quite a lot. This is quite it isn't quite as simple as just, you know, swapping a plastic bag for a cloth bag. We need to do something quite drastic here. And it was at this point that we thought, we can't do it all at once. You know, seeing that mountain, because it was a mountain, made us realize we can't just one day turn off the tap and say there is no more plastic in our lives. So we hit at this point upon doing a theme each month. So we decided, let's just target something every month. You know, we're doing this for a year. Every month, let's target a particular area in the house and try and get rid of that, try and eliminate that bit of plastic from our household. And as the months went on, and as we carry on with our talk, you'll see that made it a lot easier, a lot more manageable, far less overwhelming than just saying, right, no more plastic. And it meant that we were able to introduce things more slowly and more sustainably so that they became real lifestyle changes. And it made it more fun. You know, we could really focus on different things and kind of just shape the year as we went forward. I'll hand over to Teresa for next month.
So I'm just going to, hopefully Jen's still in the background that can help to share the picture. Let me know, Mary. Can you see the picture if I do this?
Oh, I can see the picture. Yeah, it's quite small, but it's there.
Yeah. So as you can see, that top picture there is after the first month that Mary's just spoken about. So that was all of my family's plastic for the whole of January 2018. It looks like I'm swimming in it, but if you have a close look, there's nothing unusual in there. There's bread bags, crisp packets, yogurt pots, cake boxes. You know, there's nothing unusual in there. And just by doing our plastic diet for the year, you can see the difference that's made. You can also see that quite smug look on my face, I'm afraid. But that's the difference. That's the power of this diet that we're talking about here. So Jen, if you could just help me turn off my screen sharing. Can you see my face now again, Mary?
Yeah, you're there.
Yep. Okay. Right on my back. Okay, that's good. So after, if you're interested in doing this plastic diet, that's how you start. So how Mary's just described, you know, saving all your plastic, having a look at it, and just that really makes you become aware, and that alerts you to all of your kind of hotspots. So the first thing to tackle then, which is what we did, was the easy stuff. You've got to start off easy. You've got to give yourself a few really early, easy wins. And that's a great way to kind of make sure you keep motivated with this, because a lot of this can feel so overwhelming that you just kind of just back away from the problem because it just feels so huge. So by tackling that easy stuff, you get those easy wins under your belt and you start making a few behavioural changes and you get really enthusiastic to do some more stuff and really easy things, which I'm sure everybody who's logged onto this video broadcast is swapping your squirty soap to bars of soap, do your wax wraps, soda stream, milkman, all of those really easy swaps. But it's easy to think that all of those little bits don't really add up. But in that first month, so when we weighed in January to when we weighed in February, I just did the easy stuff, and that reduced my plastic by about 30%. It's really quite surprising how much all those little bits add up. And if you're ever thinking that your little things don't add up, I really would recommend doing that comparison of the living as normal and then with your little changes, because you will see exactly how much all of these things all mount up. And this kind of goes back to that theory of nobody needs to do everything, but if we all do a little bit, it really does all add up. One thing we all did learn very, very early on was that we shouldn't live like monks when we're going to do this. We had made this into a competition, and a very sisterly competition, although we are quite competitive, the two of us. You know, we were seeing who could reduce the most each month. We didn't want to just win the trophy just by kind of not having anything, because that is obviously one way you can reduce your plastic use, but that's not a sustainable way to live your life. You've got to still have your treats. You've still got to still live a normal life. And one of the things that me and Mary did was we spent a day finding all the treats that we could that were plastic free. And that was really good. You could find all these different things, you know, all the chocolate wrapped in foil and paper and card. And you can find little shops that will serve in little jars and things. And actually, you can find loads of really, really great treats if you go that extra mile. So it was a really important step then. So step one on your plastic diet, do the easy stuff and make sure you get your rewards.
Very good message there, Teresa. One of the other things that we sort of came to become aware of as we were carrying on through the year was, like Teresa says, you could just completely stop everything and all of a sudden you'd have no plastic. Equally, you could throw a load of money at it and have no plastic. There's lots of different ways you could approach it, but you've got to think about the overall gain here. And this is one of the things that we came across was, you know, displacing the issue. There are some plastic alternatives out there which aren't necessarily better as a whole. And although plastic was clearly our priority, we did become aware of this and we wanted to make sure that we weren't just displacing the issue. So I think one of the examples that really kind of succinctly shows this is we cannot put a post on our blog about who gives a crap toilet paper without a number of people posting, yes, but it comes from China. Yes, but they wrap every single toilet roll in paper. And it's these kind of issues that are really, really valid. And it's these kind of issues that you need to balance and say, what is the priority for me? And what do I think is the best way through this? Another example, take bamboo toothbrushes. You know, it's really great. If you get a bamboo toothbrush, you no longer have to throw away those annoying plastic toothbrushes every few months. However, what if that bamboo toothbrush is made under terrible conditions, is traveled halfway around the world, and then isn't disposed of correctly anyway? Now, I'm not saying that that's what happens to bamboo toothbrushes, but it's just something that you need to think about and something that we became really aware of and wanted to make sure that we were thinking about these things. And when we were making the choice to move from the non-plastic, from the plastic to the non-plastic, we were doing it in an informed and sensible way. So, for example, the toothbrushes, I actually still use my electric toothbrush, because what's the point in throwing that away when it's perfectly good? And if I look after it, I can use that and carry on using it for years and years to come. And that's what we really want to portray to people and to say to people is know why you're doing it. Think about what your priority is and then be happy with your decision. You know, some people are happy to spend more on different things because they see that as worth the cost, for example. Sometimes budget is a really, really important priority for you. But there are some things that you are happy to spend more on because you are happy with the overall gain. And it's the same with these different kind of competing environmental and issues that we have out there. So think about your own personal priorities and be mindful of the different ways in which these different products have come to you, and think, is it worth getting rid of the plastic when the alternative might be something that's been travelled around the world, or whatever the issue might be. I think generally, when we've been doing this on Facebook, we've had really, really positive feedback from people, and generally people come up with really good ideas, and we can feed off that and come up with new solutions. But there are also, Teresa's sort of the front of the social media, and on Twitter we've had some pretty powerful responses back about these kind of issues. So we are kind of sensitive to them, and we know exactly, we know how it feels to have to make that decision.
Yeah. So I could just see in the comments, Mary, when you're talking about about your toothbrush, about using the electric toothbrush. Again, that's something that I do as well. And as somebody's commented, you can get the replaceable ones. The ones that we get, that me and Mary do get them. They're black, aren't they?
Black carbon, yeah.
Yeah, and they are recyclable. So, that's a great kind of one of those alternatives. And that's one of the great things, Mary, isn't it, about having the blog? You get all of these great ideas and you find out the new things, don't you?
Yeah,
so
definitely.
Yeah, one of the things actually, so moving on, was one of the things we did focus on was toiletries. And this is one of the places in your home that you will have so much plastic. If you just go into your bathroom, and you'll see plastic everywhere. And this is also one of the places where actually there are loads of alternatives, and the alternatives now that are coming out are absolutely brilliant. Back when we were doing this was like April 2018, and we couldn't find many alternatives, could we, Mary?
No.
In fact, I remember with you, Mary, trying to find a shampoo bar. We could find two, couldn't we?
Yeah.
Find two shampoo bars.
I had to order them online, and
they were really hard to come by, and I just couldn't make my peace with them. I couldn't get used to it. But now, I mean, goodness, you can find them on high street. They're everywhere, and the quality of them and everything are brilliant. And in fact, I've seen Sue from Kind 2 is on with us this morning, and in fact, I used your shampoo and conditioner this morning, Sue, and I love it. It's absolutely brilliant. The products that are coming out now this morning, now compared to 2 years ago, that it's because it's come into everyone's consciousness, and because manufacturers are really responding to people like us and people like everybody that's here this morning. Manufacturers are responding, and they are coming up, and these things are becoming available to us. And all of that is because we are demanding it. None of that would become available if we weren't demanding it. So we're all heading in that right direction. But I'm getting a bit sidetracked, because what I want to focus here is, when we did focus on trying to get rid of the things in the bathroom, this is absolutely where we found our line, where we found our limits, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And we still have our limits. We may be sisters against plastic, but by no means do we live plastic free. In our heart of hearts, me and Mary believe, actually, we don't think anybody can live 100% plastic free. That doesn't mean we can't reduce our plastic significantly, but living plastic free is this unachievable ideal. So we've all got a line. For me, and it still stands, and I'm willing to try new products. So if you've got some suggestions, please let me know, is toothpaste. I just can't get past the toothpaste barrier. And I've tried Denti-Tabs, and I've tried Mary had this weird
soap stick.
Yeah, it was
this stick. Yeah,
this soap stick, and we had quite a few people trying it, didn't we, Mary? And everybody who tried it went, "Are you just giving me soap?"
Yeah.
And Mary's a lot better at trying these things than I am with toothpaste, but it's still that little barrier for me. But this is actually it was quite a learning curve for me to understand that I do have a barrier. And I do have that line that I just can't cross at the moment. And actually, it did make me think, can I carry on being Sisters Against Plastic if I don't make that step, if I don't make that leap? And actually, Of course I can. Of course I can still continue on my plastic reduction journey. Just because I've got this one little thing that I haven't developed into the change yet, maybe, or that I can't cross, doesn't mean I can't do everything else. And so a lot of people kind of think, if I can't do everything, then maybe I shouldn't do anything. But everybody can have that line, and you're allowed to have that line, and you're allowed to have that, that one chocolate bar or that one packet of crisps that you just so desperately need every so often. And you're allowed to have those little bits where you fall off the wagon. But if we all dust ourselves off, if we all pick ourselves back up again, and we all still keep on trying, and we all still, have a look at the new products that are coming on, and we still have a go, and we still do everything else, we're still going down that journey. So it's really important to just accept if we've got a line and just say, okay, that's something I can't do. Let's look at everything else that I can do, and just keep on the journey.
So one of the things that kind of coming out of that, like Teresa says, I was perhaps more willing to try some of this weird and wonderful stuff. And I think I pushed Teresa, therefore, to do that as well. And that's one of the really important things out of all of this, was that we had each other to spur each other on. Yes, we made it a competition. We like a bit of competition. I've got the trophy here, which gives you a little spoiler alert as to who came up at the end. But having each other to either bounce ideas off, or to say, have you tried this? Oh, go on, don't be such a wimp. Give this a go. Let's make conkers into washing powder or washing liquid like we did one time. All this kind of stuff. It really spurred each other on. So another really good tip is to find someone that you can do this with. Do someone in your household, just a friend, someone online, someone here, anyone that might spur you on and give you a little bit of a boost when you're feeling low, or push you to do something that you might not necessarily have thought of or might not necessarily want to do. So continuing this theme of competition, which we did enjoy, in one of the months we decided, let's see what the followers think and how they are approaching the plastic issue, because we were getting really good responses. People really are really into this, and as we can see from all the chat that's going on, there's a lot of ideas out there, and ideas that we can't think of everything. This is a community. So we said, right, let's set a little challenge to our followers. And we said, why don't you do a sort of come dine with me style competition where everyone cooks a meal for 4 people. It's got to be a hot meal, and you've got to try and use as little plastic in all the ingredients that you use for that meal. And what we asked people to do was write their list of ingredients, indicate what packaging everything came in, and we then judged it. We had a bit of fun, we looked at creativity, and we tried to pretend that we were Gordon Ramsay or whatever, but really we just did a nice tally of how much plastic people used. And I think there was one person who managed to do it completely plastic free.
Well, it was 2, Mary.
Was it 2?
Yeah, there was 2.
2 people managed to do it plastic free, out of, I think it was 12 or 13 entries we had. And it was lovely. It was really great. People had done loads of research. They'd gone to lots of different shops. Now, obviously, right now that we might not have that luxury, but if you want to get started, give it a try. You could still have a competition to see what you use, if only as that starting point to say, when I cook my spag bowl, this is what the plastic is that's in it. And when I have the luxury of being able to go to different shops, I will try and find that plastic alternative, and then maybe compare the two, or get a group of friends and do it all together. It's a really nice, fun way of just kind of giving it a try and properly seeing what it is that goes into your everyday, because that's the thing, isn't it? It is the everyday that builds up. And people the feedback we got from people was, oh wow, okay, I hadn't really thought that when I use my spices, there is a plastic lid on it, or there is a little plastic lid on my oil bottle or whatever. It's those little bits that you just put to the side and don't kind of include in your thinking of how much plastic you use. So really, really nice way to start. And I think we had quite a lot of fun with that. And that's where Sisters Against Plastic, how it's kept on going, because we have continued with that friendly competition. So even when it's felt like I really can't be bothered with this right now, or everyone is just, there's too many other things to think about, we said, come on, pick yourself up, let's keep going, because there is a bigger reason for all of this.
Well, actually, that brings me on nicely to what I want to say next, Mary, actually, is there was a lot of times when we were doing the plastic diet, and if anybody out there does do the plastic diet, you will come across this. You'll just think, why am I doing this? This is really hard. And believe me, going on a plastic diet is really hard. And even just considering your plastic every day is hard. And sometimes it can be genuinely heartbreaking when you find yourself like in a no-win situation. And we did have this really big moment in our year of the plastic diet where we did think, how are we going to continue to do this? Why are we doing this? And there was the real moment, actually, and it was the moment when one of my daughters, I've got 3 daughters, and one of my daughters said, Mom, can you come into school and tell all of my class? Can you and Auntie Mary come in and tell everybody about what we're doing? Because I'm really proud of what we're doing. We've been learning about plastic pollution at school. And so I was like, okay, that's cool. Okay, so me and Mary went in, and the kids were just brilliant. They were absolutely wonderful. And kids understand this problem. They understand that plastic is this massive problem on our planet, and they understand that it's our responsibility, it's everybody's responsibility to do something about it. And they were so willing to kind of drink all of this in and to kind of consider how they can change their plastic use in their own little lives. And it's a really beautiful thing to see. And I'm seeing all of this still, even in lockdown. We're obviously home educating between us 6 children, and we're using the BBC Bite Size lessons. And even yesterday, my daughter came to me really excited and said, Mom, there's loads about plastic pollution on our geography lesson today. And it's absolutely fantastic. And they're learning about it, and they're watching videos, and they've even got David Attenborough coming in and doing lessons. Kids are learning all of this. Kids understand this problem. And so every time me and Mary kind of think, this is really hard, why are we doing this? We just have to know that all of this struggle, all of what we're doing, the kids are understanding it, and they're learning from us, and they're seeing, actually, yeah, Mom is struggling with this. Mom is having a battle with this. That means it's really important. There was some other things as well that made us kind of step back and think why we're doing this. All of these new products that were coming on the shelves, all of that is because we're voting with our wallets. Every time we spend money in shops, we are telling the manufacturers what we find acceptable. And when we don't buy something with plastic and we choose something plastic free, that is a very, very strong message that we are sending to manufacturers saying that is not acceptable. We want this. Another thing that we're doing is all of this. It might seem, just 2 regular girls, sitting in their kitchen, but all of this is influencing, or everything that everybody is doing, all of the 187 people that I can see in the chat, everything that we are doing is making a noise, and all of that is influencing all the people, all the decision makers, all the policy makers. It's changing all of them. It's making them stand up and listen. So anybody that says to you that this is, micro consumerist, nothing, it's not. None of those big changes would happen if it wasn't for you and me making the noise. It's so important that we do still have this voice, because we need to be heard. And without us small people being heard, none of the big, massive, planet-changing action would happen.
Well done, Teresa. That's Teresa's soapbox moment, which
I do. I get really passionate about it. I do. And it really bothers me when people say that it's just the small stuff, because hand on my heart, it's absolutely not small. Every decision we make, every single little thing that we buy has an impact, every single thing. Yeah. And that will tell us Mary's going to tell us now about the massive impact that she had with this beautiful idea of providing a buying group.
Thank you, Tiz. I always laugh at Teresa when she gets all passionate, but I am really proud of her because it's great to see. So coming back down to earth, throughout the year, we did find there are still some really difficult areas to get rid of the plastic. For me, it was cereal, those boxes of cereal. You've still got the cereal packet inners, and there's pasta. And I see there's been a bit of chat about zero waste shops and pasta and getting it in cardboard boxes and things. And that for us was one of the really difficult areas. How do you get your dried fruit and your dried nuts without plastic packaging? And back in 2018, we didn't have a zero waste shop near us. And it was becoming a problem for how are we going to reduce our plastic anymore? So we thought, right, okay, let's take it into our own hands, and decided to create what we've called a buying group. So essentially, it's kind of like a cooperative. And what we do is we've created a community of people in the local area, and we ask them what food they want, what dried food, fruit, nuts, seeds, pasta, lentils, pulses, all sorts of things. And we buy it in bulk direct from the wholesaler. I then store it in my garage. People come along to me and fill up their own containers from it. And it's been brilliant. And I've seen that Judith's online watching. She's one of our brilliant buying group attendees, and she comes along and gets a lot of her store cupboard stuff. And everyone, it's such a wonderful group of people, and it's gone from strength to strength. We've been doing it for 18 months now. And we've met some really lovely people. They're all like-minded people, but they've all got different ideas. And it's an opportunity not only for people to access plastic-free dried food, it's also a way to discuss ideas and to, thanks, Judith, just seeing your husband loves the muesli. The muesli is a particularly good seller. But it's a really great way to access this kind of thing. And also, we've continued, even though now we do have zero waste shops, because there is room for everyone. There's room for everyone to offer this service, to say, right, we want plastic free, and we're going to do it in all sorts of different ways. And there's no reason why it shouldn't be accessible to everybody. So if you want to know more, we have kind of tried to expand it more and share our information and experience. And we've created, since starting off with a little spreadsheet on my computer and handwriting everything, we've now got a much more sophisticated platform where it's all online and you can shop like you would at a supermarket. And Teresa's husband has created this software that we're now making available to people. So do, tap us up afterwards if you want to chat through that more. Because it was a great way for us to eliminate quite a significant part of our household plastic. And also do it in a really economical way. Sometimes a lot of people ask us, is it just more expensive to be plastic free? And there are some areas where it is more expensive, but actually this part of it gave us access to really reasonable price stuff, because we got it bulk from the wholesaler. And being able to spread that and share that with people in the community was, an added bonus to the whole venture, really. So on that note, that was what we did throughout the year. I've already kind of alluded to the winner of the year, but I think we both agree that we were both winners, really. I mean, looking back at that picture that Teresa showed right at the beginning, the difference between January to December was just amazing. It was phenomenal. And I think 15 months on, it's probably more than that now, our bins are still as reduced as that. We've managed to keep that reduction down, because we did it slowly, we did it over a year, and we did it in a way that has changed our lives, so that we don't find it a hardship. I think the final scores on doors were, I managed a 91% reduction in my plastic, and Teresa was a 73% reduction. And that is massive. We were about down to hundreds of grams rather than kilograms. So, give it a try. It really is
Yeah,
it's good fun, and it's not as overwhelming as it needs to feel from right at the beginning. And there's so many people out there to give you so many tips. So just start asking the questions, and you'll get lots of answers.
Yeah, I think what you just said there, Mary, as well, is about just taking it one step at a time. So as we went through the 12 months, we did little bite-sized bits, didn't we? We focused just on one area. So focused on maybe laundry or snacks or fruit and veg. And once we kind of defined that bit, then we moved on to the next bit, because if you take it all at once, it's just too overwhelming. But taking it in that little bite-sized chunks, I mean, it took us a full year to reduce like that. You can't do it overnight. If you wake up tomorrow and say, I'm going to reduce my plastic by 91% tomorrow, it's just not going to happen. It took us a full 12 months to do that. So just little bits, make those changes, lifestyle changes, and then that'll help you continue. And like I said, 2 years later, as Mary said, we're still living with the massive plastic reduction.
Guys, this is amazing stuff. So much stuff, so many questions. One, I don't know if you're getting a lot at the moment, and that Paul has asked is, are your bins still the same at the moment? We've had this phrase lockdown guilt mentioned this week. How has it changed for you during the current?
It certainly has changed it. Yeah. There's definitely an element of, if I can get that food, I'm gonna get it. Because we can't go to various different shops. We can't go to our favourite shops. We've had to close our buying group down for a few months. Those choices are very limited. But it's been quite interesting, though, for me, is I've been able, because I can't do some of the really basic stuff that I normally do, it's made me think kind of outside the box a little. And so it's made me think about other stuff, stuff that you can do sitting on your sofa. Things like really basic stuff like change your energy supply to octopus energy. You can do that sitting on your sofa.
Yeah.
My husband has decided to grow loads of fruit and veg. He's never taken such an interest in the garden before. And all of a sudden that's starting to happen. Mary, how have you finding things different as well?
Yeah, I think because we're not shopping, we didn't actually mention it in the talk, but convenience equals plastic. We've always said this, when you are just grabbing something off the shelf on your way home from work, that is when you grab for the plastic, because you go for the easy stuff. In lockdown, we're not able to do that. We're shopping so much less. We're having to go with a list, get everything that we need, knowing that we're only probably going to go once this week, if that. So we need to get everything. So there are some things that I'm saying, okay, I just need that, so I'm going to get it even though it's in plastic. But I'm also saying, well, I'm going to get everything for all the meals that I've planned, and therefore there's not going to be any waste. And I'm probably going to reach to the back of the store cupboard for stuff that I've not used in ages, and I'm going to start using things up. So I'm probably the net effect is that I'm actually getting less in altogether. So it's kind of a bit of both, really. I definitely, I think what you said about thinking outside the box and thinking of new ways is another thing definitely that I've had to do. I think everyone has had to do. We've all probably had the most random meal of tin tuna and whatever else that you can find because you're desperate. But it is a chance to kind of think, how can we be creative and how can we do things a bit differently?
Yeah, and I think plastic is often one of the first things that brings people into sort of thinking a bit more sustainably, and it can feel really frustrating because it's such a visible evidence of the changes that we're making or we're not making or we're not able to make at the moment. But completely agree with you that just because we're and you said this, Teresa, about specific plastic products, but if plastic is a really hard area at the moment, and it is because we're, like you said, we're going forward, then exactly that. Let's look at switching our energy supply. Let's look at reducing our food waste. Let's look at and not get too hung up on plastic, and know that we're going to come back to that later on.
It goes back to that thing of, just because you can't do that one thing doesn't mean you can't do something else.
Yeah,
there's always something to go on, and don't ever feel disheartened that more plastic is coming into the house, because that's kind of inevitable at the moment.
And also, it's not your fault that it's
Yeah, but it doesn't mean you can't still try. It doesn't mean that you can't get back on that wagon once things, start to, things start to kind of, dare I say, go back to normal. Do we want normal?
Whatever normal is, yeah.
Yeah, what is normal?
We've got 8 questions I can see, so we might have to do a bit of a rapid fire through them.
Go on, then.
Can you post a link to, loads of people are asking about the buying group. Can you post a link to where people can come and find out more about that?
Indeed, yes, we'll do that.
Brilliant, right. Have you compiled a list of things like plastic-free treats and chocolates and where you got them from?
All of it has gone on the Facebook blog, really. All of our stuff's on the Facebook blog. What I recommend to people is if you go onto our Facebook blog and you look at the photos, because most of our posts come with photos. If you scroll through the photos, that's an easy way to kind of look through the blog. But we haven't got a definite list of treats and things. Maybe we should do that. That'd be quite a good experiment to do.
Favorite plastic-free treat for both of you?
Favorite plastic-free treat? Oh, cream egg for me, I think, probably.
Yeah, I do very much love the 2 Farmers crisps.
Oh yes, because they're in home compostable bags, aren't they?
Yeah.
How do you know when you're being greenwashed? I find it really difficult to tell, and I often fall for the trap. There are obvious signs I should be looking out for.
Yeah, the absolute classic is when you go to a festival or a coffee shop and you get your plastic cup that says, "I'm not plastic, I'm compostable." Yeah. And then you say to the person, "Where's the industrial compost bin to put this in?" And they go, "What?" Yeah. Basically, if you can kind of take some time to learn the difference between compostable, industrial compostable, and all the different things of waste management, if you understand waste management, that kind of helps you stop being greenwashed. If you understand where it's going.
Isn't it so frustrating that the onus is on us to, the majority of us would look at those, we had the same situation at the sort of flower show that the Kids Village School are involved in, and they were like, "Oh, we want to reduce plastic at the PIMS tent or whatever, and we've got these compostable cups." And I was like, not really. But it's so frustrating that people have jumped onto this, and that we're the ones that have got to do it. But yeah, if you are looking, home compostable means it can go in your compost heap. Compostable means it needs a very specific set of industrial composting conditions, which are very rarely available throughout the country. And if they go into the regular plastics recycling, it
damages recycling. Yeah.
Do you have a list of where you buy all your bulk items from? I'm guessing that will be with if people sign up to the buying group.
Yeah. If you sign up to the buying group, we've got sort of tips and places that you can go to get your goods. We can provide that for you.
There's a small charge, isn't there, for signing up to the buying group? But if you spread that out over the number of people within your buying group, it's actually a really tiny amount that you'd each be paying a month, isn't it?
Yeah. If you want to create your own buying group and use our software and get our help to set up and everything, it's £5 a month. But if you just want to be a customer at Mary's buying group, it's free to sign up to actually be a customer. Yeah.
But even if you only have 5 people in your buying group, there's £1 each extra on top of your.
And you can, if you just want to see what it's like just for 1 month, just do it for 1 month. We're not going to tie anybody into all of this. It's just to cover the cost of all of the software that we're using to create all of that, because you can make payments online and things like that to make it, as Mary said, to make it like the experience of shopping at a supermarket online.
What did you do with all the plastic you collected for that when you collected it this time?
Well, we recycle what we can, obviously. And then we just dispose of it correctly. And I think that's one of the other things that we learned throughout. And we've, there's a couple of questions about how can we learn about waste management. It's not really an interesting necessarily or accessible thing to learn about, but we have become kind of accidental experts. The best thing to do when you do have plastic is to just dispose of it in the right way, and whether that's recycling or just putting it in your black bin if you have to, just do that. So Teresa kept hers for the entire year. I got rid of mine early on because, you know, I couldn't bear to keep it any longer. But we didn't do anything more creative out of it, apart from making the trophy, which was made out of
there's a website called recyclenow.com, which when you put your postcode in will let you know, exactly what you can. It might be slightly different at the moment with things, but we'll let you know what you can recycle, what you can't.
It's actually quite surprising the amount of things you can't recycle, and the general rule that we try and live by is, if in doubt, leave it out, because damaging the recycling stream is quite detrimental. So if you're not sure, unfortunately, the best thing to do is put it in general waste.
My husband does quite a lot of wish cycling, so he's like, well, it looks like it should be recycling, so I'm gonna put it in there, and I'm like, it should be.
Yeah,
we call him an ambitious recycler.
Ambitious recycler. Yeah, and that's probably one of the worst things you can do.
And Alice also says, struggling to buy dairy food products, gets her cheese from the farmer's market, but can't find plastic-free products like mozzarella and goat's cheese.
No, haven't come across any of that, I'm afraid.
Yeah, us too. We love a pizza, don't we, Beans?
Yeah. That's one of our lines. We do love a homemade pizza, and you've got to have your mozzarella on it for that, haven't you? So it's that things like that are really tricky. But give it a few months, give it a couple of years. Never know what's going to come out.
Yeah, and I don't know if some delis have like mozzarella and stuff on the counter, but the
deli counters are brilliant. Yeah, you can go along with your Tupperware to the deli counters and things. But it's all of us. If we still keep making this noise, some producer somewhere is going to come up with a solution for us. We've still got to keep making that noise. We've still got to keep asking, keep demanding, and then at some point something's going to come forward for us. Yeah,
and Pat says making things at home has to be a kind of significant part of it, and sort of shop bought meals, always I think they're moving away from the black plastic trays, but any tips for cooking meals from scratch when you're busy and time poor?
Well, I think that's I mean, we do also say the luxury in all of this is time. You do need time sometimes, but just do bulk. Make, when you're making a bolognese, make 3 times as much and stick it in your freezer. You go to meals that are plastic free, and just have the stuff in your cupboard so that you can do that really easily, and rather than saying, oh god, I just need dinner, so I'm just going to grab the plastic thing. Just think about what it is that's easy to get and easy to produce really quickly, that's plastic free.
Cool. Right, we're going to start rattling through these now. Gluten free, bulk buy gluten free pasta. Any ideas for that?
Yeah, so there is a new company that's direct from Italy that started producing, I don't know if it's gluten-free, actually, but there is more coming out. So I use Infinity for most of my bulk buy, and the pasta, I haven't gone into gluten-free, but you just got to do research and have a look into the different producers, because they're always producing new stuff all the time.
And our local zero waste shop, they have, I know that's no help if you don't have a local zero waste shop, but they do have gluten-free pasta in there. Is there a central information site to support people with their plastic-free journeys, and options for people to look at ways of encouraging companies to change their packaging? I guess that's the problem, is there wasn't one central one.
There's lots of different campaigns going on. So Ella Dash having the plastic free period campaign, she's a brilliant one. So there's loads of different campaigns going on. I posted on Twitter a while ago for Calpol to stop supplying the little spoon in every single bottle for things. So there's lots of little things that are going on. And I'm sure
Against Sewage do quite a lot of online campaigns and things, and they've got quite a lot of information on there. And obviously, like your Facebook page, I've posted the link on there for people that there is so much information on there as well. And then let's have a look. I think we've probably gone through all of them. Squeaking from Samuel. Somebody said there's a brilliant no-sew face mask on your blog. Is that right?
No, I don't think we haven't got any face mask things on the blog. No.
Do you think there'll be a step back in companies accepting reusable containers and coffee cups as and when lockdown ends? That's the final one.
That's quite a tricky one, because you've got the balance there of, personally, if I was going to go buy a coffee, I'd rather have my own mug. You know, because, you know, that's had less contamination because I bought it from my own home. But I can see some people would want something that they just want to use and then throw away.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's going to be quite an interesting one to see.
Libby made a really good point on one of our panels, and she said that maybe people will start saying, do you know what, I don't want to take the risk at all, so I'm just going to take my coffee, make my coffee at home, take it with me.
Yeah.
So, you know, maybe I think, a couple of customers have sneaked on, guys. Facebook page, sorry, or it might be on Sustainabilish. I don't think it's on my page, Judith. But anyway, okay, cool, guys, absolutely amazing. Just remind us where we can find you online.
Yeah, so on Facebook, it's literally just Sisters Against Plastic. Our profile picture is me shoving my sister in a bin. And we're on Instagram. We're fairly new to Instagram. Sisters Against Plastic on there. And on Twitter, we are SA Plastic 2018.
Brilliant. And have you popped, I can't see a link in the chat for the buying group info. Have you popped?
I can't work out how to do that just yet.
We'll pop it. I'll put this, the replay in the pop-up festival group, and come and pop it on there, and people.
Yeah, essentially, if you go to sistersagainstplastic.com.
I think we just at the moment, though, there's a holding page because we've had to suspend.
Yeah.
You won't actually get very far at the moment, so we just need to open that up so that you can actually go.
But if people have got any questions for you, can they just sort of come to you via the Sisters Against Plastic Facebook page?
Yeah, that's the best place to go. Yeah.
Brilliant. You're absolute superstars. Thank you so much, guys. It's so inspiring.
It's really nice chatting with you, Jen.
So relatable, do you know, like, because I always feel people are going to say offended when I'm like, you're just ordinary people doing this. But
we are just ordinary people.
It's better than being called a weirdo, Jen.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. You've been absolutely wonderful.
It's been really nice chatting. Thank you for listening, everyone.